All right, welcome back to Bloomberg Markets. I'm John Open. The federal Liberal government gearing up for a fiscal update next week. In the lead up to that, it has faced lots of questions about the economy, including affordability in this country. And the state of the economy is increasingly working its way into the polls. According to Nanos Research, Pierre Poilievre's conservatives would have a high chance of winning a majority government if an election were to happen today. Veteran pollster Nik Nanos joins us with more on the numbers. Nik, great to have you back with us. Appreciate the time.
Great to join you and all your viewers.
Tell us a little bit about what the polls are telling you right now.
Well, in terms of the ballot numbers, the Conservatives are enjoying a double-digit lead. They're basically in majority territory. The Liberals are back on their heels. The only region where the Liberals are doing reasonably well is the province of Quebec. If there were an election held today, the Liberals would probably lose seats in Atlantic Canada, Ontario, British Columbia. They don't have a lot in the West, so even for those, they'd be at risk. But basically, setbacks everywhere, but holding in the province of Quebec for the Liberals.
Now, how does the economy factor into those polls? What is the feedback telling you?
Well, you know, what we do know in the same survey, when we ask people what their top national issue of concern is, the things at the top are kind of inflation, the rising cost of living, housing, that kind of stuff. So economic issues. And, you know, look at those Bloomberg Nanos consumer confidence numbers, and it speaks to how negative people are about the future. You know, right now we have consumer confidence dipping into negative territory. And, you know, we know that this predicts where GDP will be in about 6 months. So we're expecting that we'll see a soft 2024 on the economic front with a bit of a flat economy. So not positive news when it comes to economic confidence right now.
How is this going to influence, at the very least, something like the fiscal update? We are gearing up for our coverage of that next week, and obviously the economy and affordability presumably will be at the center of it.
I think it's going to have a significant impact. And, you know, the thing is for the Bank of Canada, they have to factor where they think things might be in 2024. And this is where interest rates come into play. There's kind of the politics of interest rates, and then I'll call it the economic and fiscal implications of interest rates. And you know what? The politics of interest rates is ugly. You know, they're never too low. People, especially those that are renewing their mortgages, are feeling the pinch right now because, you know, the cost of borrowing is higher than it has been over the last number of years, and it makes for a lot of really grumpy people. And they see the price of everything going up, the price of a mortgage going up, the price of groceries going up. And, you know, why don't we just throw in the carbon tax in there for good measure, because, you know, that's an extra cost in order to fight climate change that Canadians are going to be paying or are paying.
Nik, you talked about mortgages. Just today, the finance minister, Chrystia Freeland, who will be taking center stage with next week's fiscal update, making an announcement around plans to build more than 2,500 new rental homes in Toronto. And we spoke to a veteran real estate developer, Ed Sunshine, yesterday, who said that there's still a lot of challenges in building new homes in Canada, red tape issues, things like that. What did the polls tell you on the issue specifically of affordable housing outside of mortgage rates themselves?
Well, many Canadians, I think about 27% or thereabouts Canadians are going to be struggling to pay for housing, to pay for the rent of their mortgage in the next 30 days or thereabouts. But, you know, we talk about, you know, the 2,200 new housing units. The reality is that right now we're bringing in 400,000 new Canadians every year. So that's not going to solve anything. You know, it's perhaps an interesting announcement, but it's not going to materially change the housing market in something as large as the city of Toronto. There needs to be more substantive and drastic change, something that changes in the environment to create a market to incentivize people to build homes that potentially could be affordable for average Canadians.
Nik, before I let you go, for those who are just curious about the election road ahead in this country, what should we be watching for? What might shake out?
Well, I think what we have to watch for now is Pierre Poilievre, if there were an election held today, would win. He's effectively a government in waiting. And I think there's going to be focus and pressure on him in terms of his financial plan, his strategy for prosperity and creating jobs. Because, you know, right now, the probability of a Conservative win is quite strong, and people are going to want to get answers to questions about how he would be different from the Liberals and how he'd create prosperity in the future for Canadians.